Hello, and welcome back to Therapist Plays Disco Elysium. On today's episode, we're continuing our adventures on the other side of the waterlock and talking to the characters in the fishing village. I gotta be honest, the encounters in this episode really tug at my heartstrings. We're gonna talk to Lillian's kids, which, if you've been following this series so far, I have a strong reaction to the situations that the kids in this world happen to be in. It just provokes a lot of emotion out of me. They're the people most affected by the things going on in the world, and yet they're the least aware often of why those things are happening. And for me as a therapist, that always puts us in kind of a complicated situation in trying to work with them. So in this episode, we're going to see if we can do anything to help these poor kids cope with the difficult reality that they're in, and see if we can come away from the whole thing with a bit more hope than we had before. So that's what's coming up in this episode. I hope you enjoy. So let's get into it. Okay. Let us continue onward. We must continue. We must continue because there's no stopping the disco once it gets started. I don't know where we're at in this game, actually. I'm kind of curious. Like, it's day 3. I don't know how many days there are. I don't know if this is like halfway through the game, 1/3 of the game. I'm trying to play it a little more often so we can speed things up a little bit. First thing on the disco agenda is to talk to these kids. I'm ready to be traumatized.
The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone. He can't be more than 5 years old.
I already want to cry.
The other one looks indistinguishable from him. He watches his brother kick the stone with his tongue lolling out of his mouth.
Just their expression in the portrait is like... Yeah, guys, one of the hardest things about being in the mental health field is the kids stuff. You know, I don't work with kids regularly. I have before. But like, man, this expression is very familiar to me. This like, I'm paying attention to you because you're talking to me, but like, it's really hard for me to make eye contact because they've just been so disadvantaged. This is rough. This is already rough. They must be Lillian's twins.
This one doesn't say anything, kicking the concrete with his worn-out sneaker.
Why is the music like this as well? I just want to fucking sob.
Lily's our mum.
Yeah.
The stone kicker laughs suddenly. His head is too large for his shoulders. The other one laughs as well. Maybe there's some kind of reason why they're laughing. An interesting reason, somehow tied to the case.
I appreciate you, Inland Empire, but I'm not sure these kids know much about the murder in Martinez on the other side of the waterlock. Like, kids, like at this age, like they seem really young, like younger than Kuno. Like anything outside of my street and perhaps my neighborhood at this age was just like another planet. Like I wouldn't be able to fucking tell you what was going on like in the world or even in my city or whatever.
The boy stops laughing and looks at his toes. Oh, okay. So now he's shy. Now he's not talking, just wobbling around like he's afraid of something.
They are naturally afraid. The thing about kids is, like, they're not so consciously aware of their own thoughts like adults are. Like, if I'm scared, I'm, like, kind of able to detect why. If I'm feeling a certain way, I'm able to detect why. When you talk to adults, like, in whether it's therapy or, you know, what I hear from my colleagues who are, like, nurse practitioners or whatever, it's like, yeah, you know, when you talk to an adult and you say like, where does it hurt? They point to it, or they're not so abstract about things. They may not know, you know, everything about their condition or whatever. And especially like when I'm like, okay, well, what does that feel like? A lot of people don't have the emotional vocabulary to say like, oh, I feel rejected. They'll just say, I feel sad, right? So, but still, that's more than you get out of kids. When you talk to kids, you're like, where does it hurt? And they often don't tell you. Like, they kind of squirm around a little bit, you know? And you kind of have to like do the inference yourself. You're like, you know, my nurse practitioner friends, they'll be like, does it hurt here? You know, and they'll get like one of these, like, you kind of have to do some detective work. So what I mean by that is not like shyness, yes, but also like kids are just not articulate about the severity and placement of their issues, both mental and physical. And so shyness could be, you know, what they're presenting here, but it could also just be like depression, like intuitive depression, because kids, despite not having like worldly intricate knowledge of what's going on in their lives, like they can feel it. Kids know how to play. You don't need to teach them how to play. We just know how to do that. That's like evolutionarily developed. Kids know when their parents are sad before they even have their own first thoughts, because they're able to identify mom's facial features. Like there's an intuitive sense to these things. And so these kids may not know at all why they're sad, but they're sad. And Half-Life seems to be, or Half-Light, I always call it Half-Life. Half-Light, it's having an adult's perspective on like what an adult would do if they were like laughing and then shy. That would be kind of weird, right? We'd call that a labile or labial. I actually don't even know the pronunciation of that. A labile affect. It's like, you know, hot, cold. But for a kid, it's much more natural. They'll be laughing and then they'll be crying like immediately after. And that's not strange. It's because they're children.
The stone-kicking one becomes frantic all of a sudden, as if that's something to be scared of. The obvious fact that you just stated.
He looks just like me.
Yeah.
The boy doesn't answer. His brother throws another rock. Both of their hair is covered in some kind of dirt.
Oh my god. Oh my god. These two are the only possible reason I could entertain the idea of a youth center from Everard Clare. I want to help them so much.
The rock kicker was just being shy, but now he's enthusiastic again.
They're children.
You're bad with kids.
What? I can't. Why? Okay, it's true. We are bad with kids. My immediate reaction is to be like, fuck you, Kim. You're bad with kids. But he's right. Like, we totally bungled it with fucking Kuno. And the options it's giving us to interact with these kids are pretty poor. And what are you, Kid Master General?
Maybe I am. Now, how about some actual police work? We are not getting anything here.
Kim! He's such a Hobbs. You're such a fucking Hobbs, Kim. I do appreciate his sarcasm, though. And, like, I always knew Kim had a personality somewhere under all that. I kind of want to see what would happen if we just confirmed, yeah, we're bad with kids. Let's follow that.
The boy, the rock kick.
You're bad with kids.
And
Don't
yes.
worry, everyone is. How about we do some police work now? We're not getting anything here.
This response is equally as good. Why is everything so good? Like, even if I didn't come back at this, I would have been narratively satisfied with Kim's kind of like playful response. But like the other response, if I'm going for the sorry cop answer, is like, don't worry, like everyone's bad with kids. You know what, Kim? Maybe you know more than I thought you did about kids. Kim is not only our like Hobbs, who is to Calvin a companion, friend, but also like a fucking like a babysitter. Like he's the moral center. He's the order that structures Calvin's chaos, but also entertains it sometimes. And Kim is quickly becoming that, right? He's the tall, lanky, orange-coated, furry friend. Furry on the inside. That entertains our chaotic nature at times, but when we're really feeling sad, he actually, you know, he's basically like the median between Calvin's actual parents, which are too parental and too, like, they have to be archetypal, like, guardians and supervisors of his behavior, whereas Hobbs can be like not endorsing a lot of Calvin's nonsense, but like still play around with him. And that's kind of what Kim is. He's like reparenting us, which is kind of funny how like our interaction with a lot of kids is very much like, oh my God, I want to help them because we see an opportunity potentially to heal some fractured part of ourself. I think in some ways, Harry's amnesia lends a nice parallel to the idea of like a damaged child who lacks a lot of insight about why they're upset, but just knows that they are. And that's kind of how we feel as Harry. That's how I interpret him. It's like you wake up, you don't have your memories, but there is a trauma festering inside of you. And you don't know how to call it what it is. You don't even know why you have it, but it does impact you. Your parasympathetic nervous system is totally affected by it. There's a lot of people who sometimes are like, well, how can you say he has a trauma? He doesn't remember anything. The body keeps the score. It's the name of a book. You should read it. Trauma affects our nervous system. It affects our biochemistry, whether or not we have conscious memory of it, right? That's like what repression is. We stifle the active memory, but the impact on all of our other like characteristics is very present. You don't have to have a memory to still be traumatized. You don't have to know why you're depressed as a child to like be like these kids. And maybe that's why we as a character can relate a lot to them and want to heal them, because we can sympathize with their issue. Let's just go with this. Children are stupid. We're healing. We made the child laugh.
You're stupid.
I love this. Oh, this is... Okay, how about the policeman asks you something else now? Go, Harry.
Okay.
Okay, we've already asked them everything. Okay, bye, kids. Ah, man. It's too real. And you know what else, guys? You know what else? I'm talking about how kids may not even know why their lives are the way they are. They may not know why they are inherently sad about things, but they also just have an inherent intuitive ability to laugh about things. And like these kids don't need to know about what a better life looks like or what fun is supposed to be to a child who has all the resources. Like they're just playing with rocks and they're having fun. That's the amazing thing about us. Like look at this. The rocks are like what they're playing with, like they're toys. They're not just rocks. They're making them into like people because they don't have like, you know, dolls or whatever. Like this amazing capacity to not really even have your own independent thoughts yet as a child that you can reflect on, but you can like personify something and give it a personality and imagine things. Like that's fucking amazing. Like people are amazing, and children especially. You two give me hope in this misshapen world. The street sign is illegible below the graffito. Okay. Hard to see the details, colors, all warm and welcoming or cozy though. Is this the shack? Is this our new residence? Let's check it out. Let's check out our accommodations. It feels safe and warm in here, not like outside. Oh no. There's a humming child. I feel like I'm about to be traumatized. Industrial coal pellets burn with an orange glow. A ruffed grouse taxidermy? Let's take it. I'll just pocket that. I can already tell this is gonna fuck me up.
Hello, mister.
A young girl, barely 4 or 5 years old, sits on the sofa. She is looking at you with frank curiosity. And that's the other, this is the other side of kids that, like, there is an infinite universal curiosity that, like, only really gets stifled with maturity.
She clutches a small stuffed animal. Occasionally, she twirls it around.
Are you Lillian's daughter? She's kind of wearing a similar outfit as Lillian.
Yes, I am. Little Lily. You know my mom?
Yes, we met earlier.
That's nice. My mom is great. She's never angry or anything.
Yeah, well, tell that to Annette's mom. Can we get Lillian to run the bookshop and adopt Annette? Are the twins outside your brothers?
Yes. They don't want to play with me. They're older and play outside. They look the same. Sometimes I can't tell them apart.
They look identical, right? I said the same thing.
They look identical.
Oh, God. This poor thing. What's that thing you're holding?
It's Lammy. He's my friend. Sort of. Like...
She holds the fuzzy beast up to demonstrate.
Lambie is a stuffed lamb that, admittedly, has seen better days. One of the eye buttons is missing, and the fur is tattered in several parts.
Oh my God, like just imagine you're a child in this world. And like, not only do you not have any friends because there's like people, I imagine the birth rate in this world is like incredibly low. And you don't have any friends, and you also like, you can't really hang out with your brothers because they're older and whatever else. And so the only thing that you have really in this whole world to connect to is a stuffed lamb. And that's your friend. And it's your one identifying like a vessel for creativity and companionship. You can get companionship from siblings and parents, but like what feels like a peer, like a child needs that. You know, like an imaginary friend or a stuffed animal in this case. And then like the idea that it can fall apart. Like it's so fucking sad. It looks like Lambie's soft. Lambie looks soft. Let's not give her an existential crisis just because we're having one.
Yes. Very soft.
I don't deserve it. I'm scum. This is what I was talking about when I was like, yeah, our character kind of needs this too. I think that trying to relate to the adult world and adult perspective on things is so complicated for us at times that we need a little bit of reparenting and via Kim, and we also need a little bit of like our childhood restored.
Isn't he soft?
Ah, it's literally healed us. This game is so incredible. I fucking love this. I may have to do a whole brain design episode just on that moment. That like the idea that embracing a child's stuffed animal can literally heal you, and that's a game mechanic, just like smoking cigarettes makes you smarter. Like the systems at play here are phenomenally genius. Lambie is very soft. She rubs the white fur against her cheek, then returns them to her lap. Thank you, little Lily. You're actually an angel. What's this? Show her the stuffed bird you took from the ceiling.
It's a grouse.
A grouse.
You might be able to get on Garth's good side if you replace the broken skewer you almost certainly broke.
Dude, fuck grouse. Fuck Garth. Fucking Garth's he's a sick capitalist. Coming to the other side of the waterlock as I'm embracing my anti-communism or my anti-capitalism. Because the people over here are free. They're free from the shackles of the gods of economics. What's it for?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Can I have it?
Sure. I mean, you already took it. I don't like
She's
it
right.
anymore. It looks angry.
I guess we did already take it.
Bye!
Thank you, little Lily, for just being a bright spot in this dark world. I truly hope that you and Fritta Girl get to grow up to be something really special. And I think that that's the thing. To me, they already are. Like, Fritta Girl's untapped potential, she's clearly so intelligent. And little Lily, in that discussion we were having the other day, or in the other episode, about this empathy being this willingness to understand. And how that's shockingly missing from so much of society, it feels like. But a child like has just an innate willingness to understand. They actually don't have the same capacity to be able to understand and then decide not to the way an adult does. Like maybe by Kuno's age is when you start being able to like reject your innate empathy and be like, you know what? I could understand you if I wanted to, but I fucking don't want to. Like poor little Lily, she can't help but just be innately curious and kind and affectionate. I really appreciate that the game visits this side of this side of the human condition and does it in such a deft and sensitive way. What do we got? We got money. Construction material. Guys, look, I don't give a fuck about Everard Clare. I don't give a fuck about Joyce Messier. I don't give a fuck about any of that stuff, okay? The only people I care about in this world right now are these guys, Little Lily, Annette, and Fritta Girl. And maybe even the angry little girl who does the graffiti. I forget her name. That's who I'm solving this case for. And for Kim.
A drop in temperature, an easy flow of air, an empty street. Before you, a thoroughfare unjammed with lorries. No more drivers smoking on hitch steps. Just silence.
What did the smoke smell like?
Chemically sweetened. Across the road, a forgotten bus stop. Corrosion has opened a hole in its roof. An elm tree watches over the building.
Love a good elm tree.
Its branches are dripping with rain and snow. The road is smooth and motley. Craters filled with a black asphalt. The asphalt, first laid, is grey already. A row of tenements are under construction in the distance.
Who are the people who live across the road?
A tub warm with water, white with soap. A man bathes while radio waves transmit the lottery numbers. 4, 18, 21, 4, 1. A modern washing machine rattles a drawer full of silverware.
Holy shit, dude. This is like one of my favorite lines in the game. That they just dropped in the middle of my sauntering around. Just this character and texture it lends to the world, like a man bathing and listening to lottery numbers. Like people live in squalor, but they still hold out hope for this like personal redemption, and also like just, I don't know, the idea that yes, life is unbalanced right now, but something could dramatically tip the scales at any moment, and I have to sit here and wait for that moment. And if I don't capture that, the opportunity could be lost. Like my life could turn around. Just that the human condition is amazing. And it gives you so much of a visual, like washing your silverware in a washing machine because it's what you have.
His boyfriend is on his way home. He brings tins of meat and vegetables with him. Their pockets are heavier with money, but only slightly.
Oh. What about the bus stop? And companionship. That the desire to connect to people and still maintain a life of closeness with someone lives even in like extreme conditions.
Number 312D. Young girls used to come here, huddled up, hoping for more warmth than their thin coats give them. The bus took them to school. It has not run for 8 years. There were not enough girls to sustain its cost.
The bus hasn't run for 8 years. There weren't enough kids to sustain its cost. Yeah, that's exactly kind of what I was hinting at, I guess, is like, I don't imagine the birth rate is very high. You don't have people getting together, building families, having children, wanting to bring children into a world like this. Without children, you don't have a school, you know, or transport to justify the social welfare systems. And the quality and investment into education and societal like systems is going to degrade. And it just leads to this, I really love this word that I use, corrosive, chemically sweetened. Like even the things that are nice are done so at a cost that like is in some ways infectious, and it can't really be taken away. What about the road?
Craters pocked the surface. Children played in them until heavy trucks full of black pitch rolled in. The landowners have filled the craters with money. It is a vital artery of the flow of trade.
The juxtaposition between like what a child sees with a crater and a landowner. A child will play in it. It's an opportunity for like imagination and thought-provoking exploration, and like that landowners have filled them with money because that's what our minds start to shift the reward of dopamine towards as we mature, is less so the imaginative experiential reward and more the monetary reward. This isn't even a part of the, I know it's a part of the game, but every time I get a shivers or like something like this, I'm like, this isn't even a part of anything. This is just like a random thing that has nothing to do with like any of the characters specifically. It's just like a lore moment that has everything to do with the world, obviously, but it's just like drops these fucking prosaic pieces that I'm like, this is like one of the best books I've ever played. It's just, I think this is probably the best game that's ever been made, honestly. like I'm getting there. I'm getting there with every single layer that it presents to us. It just peels and peels and peels, and there is just this like unending texture and character to everything, even things that are totally disembodied from the narrative. I like cannot believe it. Oh man.
The wind moves the aerosol. A detective stands behind the boom barrier. A breeze moves a curl of his hair.
That's us, baby. Well, I don't know specifically, but goddamn, Shivers. Shivers is like just one of my favorite things about this game. I kind of wanted to go talk to Lillian a little bit about her kiddos. Let's see if she has any more dialogue after talking to them. I just want to praise her for being like an amazing parent.
Hi, the sea's gonna calm down soon. I can feel it. The wind is turning southeast. What's on your mind, officer?
That's my motor carriage in the sea.
Oh, that's good to know, I guess. Why is it in the sea?
It was an accident. I'm sorry.
This calls for a funeral, if you ask me.
Are you suggesting we honor the carcass of my former motor carriage?
Aye. Feels deserved, don't you think? Falling in the line of duty like that and all?
What an odd thought. Maybe I should.
Why odd? Our things are a part of our life world. They're made with our human sweat and they share human history. We should care about them as we care about humans. To some extent, at least.
Lillian, how can you be this way in this world? Like, the fucking mental fortitude you have to adopt to go through life and, like, guys, gratitude, empathy, these things, they're not free. They're expensive. They take a lot of energy to maintain. You have to choose every single day to find the things that you're grateful about. You have to choose every day to offer your well of untapped empathy to people, because our natural tendency is towards cynicism and towards like the absence of things, what I don't have enough of, what I'm still missing, what I'm not happy about. Like it's part of what, you know, keeps us alive. It's our survival mechanism, of course. But like we have to cultivate those things. We have to continue working on them. I had a client tell me something recently that like sometimes my clients say shit that's like more profound than the stuff that I like randomly try to come up with in terms of psychological interpretation. Like my brain's totally like, I have therapy brain. I'm always thinking like cognitive distortions, parataxic distortions, like defense mechanisms. I'm thinking all like clinical stuff, right? And it's all, you know, high level, like whatever. And for the right person, that's transferable language, right? But sometimes you have someone you're talking to and they just say some shit that's like so simple, but makes so much sense of something that like I feel like sometimes I overcomplicate. We were talking about positivity. How do you maintain a positive mindset about things? And he just goes, yeah, you know, I feel like it's like learning to ride a bike, which is a pretty common metaphor. He says, you know, sometimes yeah, you got to pedal. You got to pedal until you get to a certain speed with it, and then you can coast. And you can coast for a little while, but then you have to pedal again. And then you have to keep doing that. Otherwise, you slow down and you stop. And it was just like him working out his understanding of positivity, that like you don't design, you know, your thoughts and do CBT and like do all this crazy behavioral modification and stuff to like become a positive person, like to change your inherent archetype of being a cynical person to a optimistic one. It's like no, he's like, yeah, it's just you have to pedal and then you have to keep pedaling. You can't just, you don't just get to the top of Positivity Mountain and now you live up there. You have to keep that up and constantly like relearn how to do it every time. Sometimes things will make you positive and then they'll make you less over time and you have to find new things. And like him discovering this was just such a wonderful moment because it was all self-realized. And I was like, yeah, man, that's just so fucking simple, but so beautifully put. And Lillian, to me, captures that same mentality where it's like, we overcomplicate a lot of stuff. And what she said here is so simple. It's like, yeah, our things are a part of our world. They're made with human sweat and they share human history. We should care about them as much as we care about humans, which we don't generally. We have a willingness, we have to have a willingness to understand humans, and we don't always exercise it. And for her, it seems so mystifying that we would not care about another human. And how, in the same sense, could we not care about the things that humans make and attach ourselves to? This is the best game that's ever been made. I don't care what anyone says. It's just so wonderful. This is like not a video game. This is just like a fucking. This is a tabula rasa of like existential discovery and meaning that I feel like anyone could shape their identity alongside, like independent of what the game's narrative and themes are. Like your identity and your existential meaning can unfold from the things that the game exposes to you. It's just like, it blows my mind every single time. All right, I'm in. Organizing a funeral takes a lot of time and effort, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. You won't even be able to get it out of the water before early June. And where are you going to bury it? Who to invite? What music to play at the wake? Take it from someone who's been through a few funerals. It's easiest to just leave them there and let nature take care of it.
And she makes such a good point about how important ritual is for us as people. The symbolic transference that we experience when we like bury someone and say goodbye to them. It's so important for our understanding of like how to cope with this thing that like our life basically that we don't have an infinite amount of, and that it's like really hard to lose someone close to you in. And so of course you want to have like some kind of symbolic gesture for them, which is why I gravitate so much towards the terror management theory perspective that I talked about in reference to The Pale, which is all about symbolic immortality, how the things we create and the people we belong to create for us a symbolic immortality that we can't get literally. And so if we mean something to someone, if someone remembers us, if we create something that represents us, we still have a place in the world. And that's the best we're going to get in a lot of ways. And when we pass away, that someone else can ritualistically honor that is like a really beautiful gesture to validate that, yeah, you are symbolically immortal. Here is your place still in the world. Here is what you meant to people. Here is why that matters. I don't know why like the fucking fishing village of all places just suddenly is just like this infinite well of existential like beauty. But I love it.
That's all we have time for right now anyway. Come back here in June and see how you feel about it then. It's not like it's going anywhere.
It's pity we don't get to do more frivolous side activities. I would have really liked that. Let's focus on the things we can actually do, all right? Yeah, I feel like this is part of our journey, excuse me, as well, is acceptance. Learning to accept the things that we can and cannot do.
Absolutely. Things like what, for example?
I'm not doing it. The fucking worst thing I could do to this world, I think, is like give Evart Claire, who is the most cynical, conniving person, some kind of foothold in this environment where, like, despite it being so much more it's hard to it's tough to say impoverished compared to like Martinez, because Martinez is like also not in top shape, but like disadvantaged, let's say. Like the place is all busted up, and yet the people I've interacted with seem so much more happy and grateful and kind and connected to the world and themselves than the people on the other side of the waterlock, who seem constantly bent on progressing and moving up and stabilizing and exerting control and power and authority and all this stuff. And here you just have people living their lives and trying to do that the best way that they can with what they have. And really, when you pare the human condition down to its essentials, it's not much. It's not much that you actually essentially need to survive and maintain happiness. Look at Lillian. Look at Lily. They can do it. It's just beautiful. I say as I pick up my own. Yeah, look, I gotta have. We don't live in this world. Unfortunately, we have to live in the. We're trying to solve the case. We need resources for that. I think I'm gonna have to pause it here, guys. Like this is. I have not even moved 10 steps from where I started in this episode, but I feel like this game is not about progressing the plot or solving the case. It's about experiencing this world and reflecting on our own lives and our own existence by Disco Elysium just being the perfectly cracked and muddy mirror that it is for real life. So that's where I'm going to end it for today. And go be a good human. It's actually easier than you think.